I don't know what happened. We had a meeting in the morning, but normally we don't have any conflict on the Zoom. But now it seems to have a conflict. I will resolve it. That's why we send a new password. But inshallah, I don't think it's a big matter. So without further ado, we invite our dear brother, the Associate Professor Dr. Ahmad Shiozaki, to continue with the 5th class.
Thank you, Brother Shafran. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. I am glad to see you again. Actually, online lecture is very convenient and flexible, but we already have experience of troubles, not only once, but several or even dozens of troubles, and we also learned a lot for improvement. Of course, it is not a problem a late of 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Let me continue my lecture and discussion on Islam in East Asian context. East Asian context. East Asia, I mainly mean China, Korea, and Japan in this course. This is the 5th class of this course. Coexistence and worldviews. This course is about the Muslims in East Asia. They are minorities. Minorities live in non-Muslim majority countries. Therefore, coexistence must be main topic in this lecture. And I also discuss on the worldviews. I mean, mainly the worldviews of the non-Muslims in East Asia. This is one of the questions in this program. Why do we need to discuss on worldviews of East Asia? I mean, worldviews of Buddhist, Confucianist, Taoist, or believers of Shinto in Japan. The worldview is very crucial in coexistence. Coexistence, especially for the minorities. It is necessary to understand the majority. to understand the law, the culture, and religions of the majority. The Muslims in India should understand the Hindus. The Muslims in Europe should understand the majority of the society, the non-Muslims, because it is better for survival in the society. It is the same even in East Asia. And worldview is very a crucial part of the society. It is the basis or origin of the basic values of the society, the hereafter or the life after death. Moral and ethics or rules, also values, are originated from the worldviews. Moral and ethics of the Muslims are originated from Quran and Sunnah. It means the Muslims' value and rules are originated from Allah. Different communities, different ummah has different worldview. As a result, they have different ideas on the hereafter and moral, ethics, and the rules. Why I must not kill other people? The child can ask such question. The Muslims can answer because it is prohibited by Allah. In China, in Korea, in Japan, the answer may be different. It is not because of Allah. Because their worldview is different. All the values are originated from the worldview. And it is very crucial to understand their worldviews, to coexist with them. So what are the worldviews and their beliefs in China, Korea, and Japan? As I discussed, there are also Christians in East Asia, but the majority is Buddhism, or Taoism, or Confucianism. And these religions are not familiar with the most of the Muslims until today. Even though the Muslims live in Korea and Japan, they do not know the worldviews and beliefs of the majority native Japanese. These three religions are mixed. The mixture of religions is called syncretism. It happens in many areas in the world. And in Japan, another original religion, Shinto, is mixed with these three religions. The common point of these three religions is emphasis on ancestors, or even worshipping their ancestors. But today, the religion is not necessarily dominant in East Asia. You know, in China and North Korea, these two countries are dominated by the Communist Party. The communists are supposed to be materialists. Materialists do not believe religions. In their idea, religion is only illusion or superstitions. There are no such thing like God in their worldview. Again, the idea on the hereafter is important part of the worldview. So how do Chinese or Koreans or Japanese think about the hereafter? And this idea of hereafter is, of course, very relevant to funeral. In Japan, the death means the funeral in Japanese style. I mean, the dead body must be burned to ash by fire. Basically, and even in China, it is almost obligatory in many areas. The dead body must be burned to ash. Even Muslims in China, a part of them accept this rule. Not all of them, but in East Asia, it is the basic way of funeral. At first, burned by fire. Such rituals are made from the idea on the hereafter. Buddhism is from India, and it is similar to Hinduism in many parts. Hinduism and Buddhism have a common idea called reincarnation. Reincarnation means it's an idea about the hereafter. After the death, all the creatures, all the living things will be born as another living things. The humans die. Then they go to next life. The next life can be dog, or an insect, or a fish. Then after that life, next life comes. Next life comes. Of course, people do not want to be born as insects or a fish in the next life. To be better living things like humans, they have to do good deeds and avoid sins. Good deeds such as contribution for temples and monks, devotion for Hinduism or Buddhism can make that person better living things in the next life. This is the main motivation to promote good and avoid evils in Buddhism and Hinduism. Therefore, there are no such ideas, heaven or hell. They believe living things repeat life and life and life in different shapes. If they want to stop this cycle of reincarnation, Buddhism teaches humans must reach a status called nirvana. They have to recognize the truth, the supreme knowledge. Then they can escape from this cycle of lives. This worldview makes the moral and ethics of the Buddhists and Hinduists. The worldviews make rules, ethics, and the law. The different community have different worldviews. As a result, they have different laws and different values, ethics. In Taoism and Shinto, they also do not have the idea like heaven or hell. They just think there may be another world after the death, and they will go to that world, then continue to live. But they want to overcome the death, and they inquire eternal life by technologies. Technologies does not mean science. Since the ancient age, they look for many methods to be a supernatural existence to avoid the death. Basically, the humans go to the next world. Those in East Asia and Southeast Asia may have seen paper like this. It is money, but it's not real money. Money for the dead, basically for their ancestors. They burn such paper or fake money to send money for their parents or grandparents or ancestors in another world. Those who overcome the death can get eternal life and become worshipped as supernatural living things. Many Southeast Asians know this statue of Matsu. And many of you also see many statues worshipped by the Chinese. They are gods and goddesses in Taoism. Once they are humans, this Matsu was a girl, only a human girl in Hokkien, Southeast China. But this girl had supernatural power. It is believed, and she overcame the death and got eternal life. Then went somewhere. She is worshipped by the people, the believers of Taoism. The Confucianism is different. I will discuss later. Some of you may feel strange or even funny. All the humans die. I also think so. And there's no such thing, eternal life in this world for the humans. But it is their worldview. By training or technologies, they can reach eternal life. It is believed. And even if humans die, they will go to another life or another world. This is another issue, but funeral is very serious issue for the Muslims, especially new converts, Muslims. How do you deal with the funerals of Christians, Buddhists, Taoists, Hindus? Such issue can be found even in your society. Do you attend the funerals of the Christians or Buddhists or Hindus? It's up to the society, even among the Muslims. But many Muslims avoid the funerals of the other religions. But in China or especially in Korea and Japan, it is unavoidable, especially for converts. Most of the people in the society are not Muslims, and their funerals are in style of Buddhists or Taoists. Then, what happens if you do not attend the funeral of your boss, your colleague, or your neighbors? It can make troubles. But it is more serious if you do not attend the funeral of your brother, sister, or parents. It can happen for newly converted Muslims. Many of them in Japan or in Korea, their parents are not Muslims. Their parents' funeral must be in Buddhist style. It is evil not to attend the funeral of parents. In the Japanese value or Korean value, Chinese value. Actually, people do not mind the beliefs of the others. They do not mind the others believe Islam or Christianity or Buddhism or atheist. It is not a problem in the society. But if a Muslim does not attend the funeral of their parents, such Muslim must be considered as very problematic person from the viewpoint of relatives, neighbors, or most of the people in the society. The belief is not the issue, but to attend or not to attend parents' funeral is very serious issue in the Japanese value. To respect their ancestor is very basic value. It's not so special. It can be seen in other countries, but it is obligatory to attend the funeral of parents. I cannot attend because I am Muslim. Such excuse cannot be accepted. They do not understand. About the worldview and the hereafter. Confucianism. It was established by a person in China around 2,500 years ago. Confucius. Confucius is famous. today by the name of Confucius Institute. Confucius Institutes can be found in all over the world, established by China. Confucianism is the religion of the mainstream or establishment. Taoism and Buddhism, they are also influential, but establishments must study Confucianism in China and also in Korea and Japan. And Confucianism has a stance of agnosticism. They do not discuss on transcendental matters. They say, we cannot know the hereafter. It's impossible to know about what will happen after we die. So we do not discuss. It's impossible to know, and we should not discuss such matters. It's a waste of time because we cannot know. Therefore, they discuss only on this world. Of course, this approach is different from Islam. But this Confucianism is not so different from communism or materialism in worldview. For the Muslims, especially in China, it is a main issue how to coexist with Confucianism. Confucianism is the mainstream or official religion of China. Chinese government under the emperors in the dynasties. During centuries, Chinese Muslim Lama discussed and made efforts to harmonize Islam and Confucianism. It was the main issue discussed by them because without coexistence with Confucianism, it was very difficult to survive in China. They had to show that Islam can coexist with Confucianism, or even Islam is same with Confucianism. A Muslim scholar in China in the 17th century, Liu Zi, he wrote in his book, Prophet Muhammad was the Nabi of the West. The Middle East is West. from China. And Confucius was also Nabi of the East. He means China. So he discussed Confucius was one of the prophets. We do not know whether Confucius in ancient China was a prophet or not. But this was a basic approach of Chinese Muslims. Many Chinese Muslims, their scholars discussed Islam and Confucianism have same roots. Basically, same. A scholar, Wang Dayu, discussed Confucianism is very similar to Islam.
Prof, you can pronounce in Japanese, Prof. We want to hear also the word in Japanese.
They are Chinese.
It is Chinese, not Japanese.
So,
okay.
I'm discussing on Chinese Muslims.
No, I mean the wording there you write there. Once a while, good also to listen the word in Chinese or in Japanese. Sorry for interruption.
Actually, it takes time to translate them all.
Okay, no problem.
So this one that you discussed, Confucius and his followers discussed on moral and society, family, and good governance in the state level. There is no point to disagree in Confucianism from the viewpoint of Islam. Many Chinese Muslim scholars repeated discourse like this. Another scholar, Matthew, basically, they said same matters. Since the creation of the world, the time passed, and after Prophet Adam, 8,000 years later, Chinese civilization started. But thousands of years passed. The Chinese people lost and forgot the original teaching of Islam and about Allah. Therefore, the Muslims needed to bring knowledge on Allah to China again. He means Islamic knowledge is supplementary for Confucianism. Confucianism is okay. They teach moral and ethics in this world. But Confucianism does not discuss on the hereafter and Allah. So, Muslims in China can take a role to bring Islamic knowledge, which is supplementary for Confucianism. Later, another scholar, Yusuf Madusin, I discussed on him last class. He also discussed Confucianism is nice, but it is only about this world. And Islam teaches also on the hereafter and Allah. Therefore, Confucianism is not enough, and the Muslims should keep knowledge on Allah and the hereafter. Buddhism and Taoism are silk. They worship statues. So Buddhism and Taoism are not acceptable. Yusuf Madusin discussed. For the Muslims in China, Confucianism is the priority because Confucianism was the religion of the mainstream or a religion of the government, official religion. So coexistence with Confucianism was the priority, and it was must for survival in China. This topic, the world views in East Asia is too big, and I discussed little on this issue today, but you may expect the world views are crucial matter for the minority Muslims in East Asia. They are very influential on many matters, and the majority of China, Korea, and Japan have their religions. The Muslims have our religion, but we cannot say you have our religion, you have your religion, and we have our religions, and we do not interact, we do not touch each other, so no problem. Actually, there are many problems, especially in the side of the minority. It is very crucial for survival for the minorities, especially for the minorities. And it is very big topic, and many scholars made effort for this issue. It was mainly for the survival of the Muslim community, especially in China, because in China, they have long history, more than 1,000 years. In Korea and Japan, the history of the Muslims, their community has just started. It does not pass more than 100 years, just a decade of history. So the Muslims in Japan and China, they face the same issues from now. The Chinese Muslims discussed this issue for almost 1,000 years. The Muslims in Japan and Korea are mostly the first generation. I mean, the first generation immigrant or first generation convert. And they really do not know the real challenges at this moment. We can expect there happens the same challenges or very similar challenges in Korea and Japan. The challenges which happened in China. And now I would like to accept questions from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prof. It's very interesting to know about the concept of funeral from both religion. As you said, funeral is a big thing among the Chinese, among the Japanese, even among the Muslim also. And you talk about Confucianism also. It is another big thing. We heard this many times, as Mr. Jamaya also mentioned in the chat box, that we always equate Confucius and Buddha, and Buddha is a prophet. So it depends on our interpretation. And you talk about first generation Muslim. I know you yourself is the first generation Muslim. If it's not private, I mean, if you don't want to answer, it's fine. How are your relation with your parents and with your in-law, Prof? Are they okay with you, with your wife, or how you manage? You don't have to answer directly if you don't want to.
Simply okay. Okay. But in Japan, religion is treated as individual matter. It's not family matter, or it's not social matter, or it's not national matter. It's only individual. In the mind of the individual, everybody can believe anything. But if they skip funeral, it's a big evil.
Okay. So when come to funeral, you have to be together.
Yeah, actually, funeral is a type of worshipping, especially in Buddhism and Confucianism. But to avoid it, made big trouble, and actually it's dilemma for the Muslims. Many Muslims have such experience.
Okay. It's interesting when you said that in Japan, this or maybe in Korea, religion is a private matter. Here, we know about all few of our Indian friend or Chinese friend. They have a lot of difficulties when they become Muslim. So maybe cultural also. Okay, this is a question from Jamal. Yeah, I have a question on funeral. How the Muslim community in Japan attend their family funeral to balance between Islamic Aqidah and perform the ritual.
Okay. It's up to the persons, but most of them attend.
Okay.
Attend. I mean, whether worship or not, and they attend. Because funeral is not individual matter. It's a family matter, and even the relatives and it's social matter, and it's responsibility for the left persons.
Especially when your parent is it, it's more personal, yeah. Okay, Prof. From Nuruddin, Prof, there are people who try to associate the Shinto religion with the Judaism tradition, which emphasizes the invisible God. Is there an attempt to link Islam and Taoism as well as in China?
Yes, actually, Shinto and Judaism, yes, I know there are such small group. I mean, very characteristic small group, or even called a cult group. It's clear Judaism has no relationship with Shinto, but there is even a person who discussed Islam is a version of Shinto, or there are some cases in Japan, and even there are big group. Maybe it is misleading. I mean, it's hard to understand them. A group called Happy Science, with the members of millions. They say, or the founders say, he is Jesus, and he is Allah, and he is Buddha, and he is
everything.
And he sent prophets to the world. I cannot take them serious, but there are such people. In China, Taoism, as far as I know, no. Taoism is not so systematic. It's a mixture of many popular or folk customs. They worship everything, or many humans, like generals, great generals, politicians, poets, guards who saved their parents, and Shinto is basically the same. Shinto worship almost all the dead humans, dead emperors, dead soldiers, and even living people such as great football players, or poets, or novelists. Of course, such worshipping is very different from monotheism, but many the Chinese Muslim scholars probably were not interested in harmonize Islam with Taoism. It's supposed to be very hard, or it makes mistakes.
Okay, Prof. Practical question from Brother Nuruddin. What about the problem of Muslim cemeteries in Japan? Is it true that Japanese people reject the existence of Muslim graves because Muslim bodies are buried without being cremated first?
Yes, coexistence is not easy. I mean, even in Malaysia or in Indonesia, and there can be rejection against the Christian church, even in Indonesia. We do not want in our residential area. They say there can be cemetery somewhere very far from here, but it's not in our town. Basically, they do not welcome. Actually, it is a matter of negotiation and persuasion. Basically, basically the Muslims in the Muslim majority area does not want Buddhist cemetery in their residential area. And Japanese Buddhists do not want Muslim cemetery in their residential area. If it is no man's land, far from their town, no problem, but not in their town. It's not so special reaction.
Yes.
If it must be in their residential area, we need negotiation and persuasion, and it must be tough negotiation and takes time, but no way. From the next lecture, I will discuss such interaction, the real practice of coexistence is always tough, and we can be endurable. It takes time.
Thank you, Prof. There's one big question by Brother Mazwin or Sister Mazwin. I'll forward to you. This needs some elaboration about the view of ulama on certain issues. Maybe it will take you more time. Thank you so much, Prof, for the lecture tonight. Now it's getting more interesting. I don't think 7 classes is enough. You have to continue more, inshallah. And regarding this understanding, it reminds me last year, I think the issue of halal meat in Sri Lanka. The Buddhists there just doesn't want any halal meat in the store because they don't want to eat any beef or meat being take a prey on it. It's not, they say they don't want, not because you want to give them halal meat. It's not for them, it's not for us, for Muslim, but they don't want it in their store for whatever reason. Well, sometimes it's just communication to get an understand. Thank you so much, Prof. We'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone. We will try tomorrow to make sure there's no technical problem, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.